Well, can you believe it, my friends? There it is. The dress ups and downs wheel. And we only have 2 more costumes to go. We've been cowboys and we've been astronauts and we've been beavers. And today, well, again, there's only a choice of 2. Let's hope it's not the one that I'm fearing the most. Of course it is. It's time to be, oh look, I've got the right pose, a crappy superhero. Yep. There you go. I mean, what were you expecting? I said it was going to be a crappy superhero. The budget only stretches so far. Hello, my name is Simon from WhatCulture. This is definitely the worst one. It's really annoying, like some kind of chicken. WWE did just have an episode of SmackDown, so let's take this, the most important item in the universe, the finger of power, and give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. We kicked off SmackDown this week with the Usos taking on the New Day to find out who was going to be the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions in history. I mean, you can't do better than that. We also gave this a bunch of time, and man, that was so good because it started slow and then it built and it built and it built and it built like some kind of a castle. And we saw Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Solo Sikoa watching on from the back. But very interestingly, there was no Sami Zayn. Now later on, when we got a Sami Zayn chant, Michael Cole was like, oh, he's away sorting out some personal issues. But when we get to the last segment, I think something not very oosy is about to happen. We also got that chant as well because it is massively over, hence why WWE trademarked it recently, and Kofi Kingston did this big dive onto everyone. But then he tried to do it again because it is 2022 wrestling, and the Usos went kablamo, and they took him out, and they beat him up for a good old while. He also went crazy and hit Jey Uso with a side Russian leg sweep and tried to cover him, so it was like Xavier Woods, you're the absolute best. When he tagged back in Kofi Kingston, and they just did every single power move 9,000, but they couldn't keep either of them down. Around this time, the Usos made the blind tag because they loved doing that, and then we had splashes and we had super kicks, and on the outside, the New Day actually hit the midnight hour onto the damn floor. So Jimmy was dead, and the New Day came up with the idea, well, why don't we get back into the ring and do the same thing on Jey? They did have the near fall on this. Oh my gosh, it was so damn close. I actually thought the New Day had won it. Mr. Burns had done it. This is when we did that cool wrestling thing. We had one team line up over here, we had another team line up over here, and they just stared at each other before they started punching each other in the face. And eventually Woods got super kicked into Timmy the Timekeeper's table, and Kingston was like, don't worry, friend, I've got a great idea. And he dove off the top rope with a flying nothing. But seriously, he went straight into the 1D. That looked so damn good. It absolutely had to be the finish, and it was. And we give this a massive round of applause. These 2 teams just have such good chemistry, and this was such a damn good wrestling match. I had such a good time. Give it a nap. Cole also reminded us that come Monday, the record will be theirs, and there's nobody to stop them now. And we also had a segment backstage when Roman was like, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so happy, to the point I've got some business I need to take care of. He also hugged Jimmy here, and when he got to Jey, he hugged him super hard. And as we know, when you see a super hard hug, something is going down. And then it was time for our first match in the SmackDown World Cup tournament. So there you go. Obviously tying into the actual football/soccer World Cup that Fox will be airing, this is going to have 8 competitors, with the winner getting a shot at Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion. And I really like that because straight away you're going, oh hi, this title is really important. It was also Shinsuke Nakamura representing Japan taking on Santos Escobar, who was representing Mexico. And they may have fought before, but it's not stored within my brain, so this felt nice and fresh like bread. You always need nice and fresh bread wrestling. Nakamura straight up threw him over Barry Barricade at one point and hit that sliding suplex thing. But I think this is when Santos started to panic, so he thought, I know what I'll do, sweep the leg. And he went after Nakamura's knee. He worked this for a while, but then through all of it, Legado del Fantasma must have been outside going, wait a minute, we've seen this show before. I'm pretty sure if we start casting distraction, our guy is probably going to win. That's what they did. Because the whole crew got involved to the point Nakamura had to start bashing them out with kicks. But of course, he then didn't know what was going on. which is when Escobar hit this avalanche phantom driver onto Shinsuke, killed him dead in the middle of the ring, and he got the 3. Now, this is absolutely what we should have done, because Santos Escobar needs some momentum at the moment, given he's only on the main roster for around about 3 minutes. He now is going to the next round. I'm giving this an up, but also bring it down. Distraction counter. We are up to 21. We then went in a direction I wouldn't have guessed in a million years. Now, why I'm being a massive wrestling geek and a wrestling nerd and spending that long trying to come up with concepts I don't know. But look at me. But we were with LA Knight, who was super mad that he wasn't in the World Cup tournament, because he believes he should be in the World Cup tournament, when all of a sudden the spooky wookie thing started appearing on the screen, and he got interrupted by none other than Bray Wyatt. Now, Wyatt got a huge reaction because he's so over, but he's also going off the rails here, because he was kind of like, oh man, I'm not even ashamed about all the terrible things that I have done, but I understand your quest, brother. I understand your problems, so why don't you come with me and we can rule the galaxy? LA Knight didn't agree with this and told Bray that he should probably go back to his romper room and do terrible sexual things with all of his puppets. And I was like, man, I don't want to see that on my television ever. And this is when Bray kind of went all crazy in the head, I suppose, and he like wibbly-wobblied his way into LA Knight's personal space and then went bop, and he hit him with his head. LA Knight fell to the floor, Wyatt walked off, LA then got back to his feet like, oh, where did he go? But he was all loosey-goosey. Wyatt also seems really pleased about this, so I do think we're about to do Bray versus LA Knight, or at least do some kind of story interaction with them. And given we only got about 30 seconds here and it turned on my intrigue gland, well, I can't wait to see where this is going to go. It's also the most active Wyatt has been, so something is a-brewing. Give it up. And it was then time to see who was going to take on Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Survivor Series, because we were having a 6-pack challenge. For it was Shotzi versus Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Sonya Deville versus Lacey Evans versus Xia Li. And I'll be the first person to throw my hands up and say, yep, I agree with you. I don't know why about 90% of people were allowed to have this opportunity. What are you going to do? What we do have to address is something that happened towards the finish, because this is what everybody is talking about, and it has irked me. But Sonya Deville and Raquel Rodriguez were about to do something through the table when Liv Morgan came flying in, and what I think was meant to happen was she was going to grab both of them and smash them through some wood. But instead, when Liv did arrive, they all crumpled on the floor. And as ever, the internet is like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I can't believe this happened. Are you people absolutely crazy? Are you insane? Are you goobers? They made a mistake. Are you trying to tell me, in the amount of years you've been on this planet, you have never made a mistake? Now imagine you had to do something that was quite high risk, and you were doing it on live television. Of course, sometimes there's gonna be errors. I mean, for goodness sake, we've gotta stop it. We just need to start cutting people a break, because wrestling is hard. It doesn't mean that you can't be critical, and doesn't mean you can't go, well, I didn't like it, but if somebody falls down by accident, it is not the end of the world. That's not to say that any of this match worked, because I would agree with you. No, I don't think it did. It came from nowhere, and there was a little bit of miscommunication, and when Shotzi hit her finish onto Lacey Evans and got the win, it's a bit like, well, where the hell did that come from? Never forget the name for that move too is Never Wake Up, which means Shotzi's walking around basically saying, I am going to kill you. I'm not sure that feeding Shotzi to Ronda Rousey is the best idea either, because she too has only just arrived on the main roster and probably needs some wins. Although we did get this awesome segment later when Shayna Baszler walked up to Shotzi and said, man, you're going to get murked. Shotzi stood up to her, but then very sadly Ronda was there too. Shayna Baszler choked her out. Now I am going to say, I love Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler together. We should have done this years ago. I should also point out that before we did have that Shotzi Ronda Rousey stuff, Shots bumped into Emma, who's like, oh man, congratulations. You did really, really well. Apparently she's Drew McIntyre now. And she was looking for Madcap Moss, and given the look on her face, Shotzi was all like, oh man, you're crushing on him. Now, I do believe that Madcap and Emma are dating in real life, so maybe they're going to team up on screen. This was really weird. Quick promo with Ricochet, because he is now taking on Mustafa Ali in the World Cup, which I think means Rey Mysterio got taken out of it, which is a little bit strange. But here's what we should do when we get to that match. You go to Ricochet and you go to Ali and you say, listen, go out there, do whatever you want and just steal the show. Because in 2022 wrestling, sometimes you just need a banger, and I tell you, those two can have a banger. Given that Rick had mentioned the Intercontinental title, Gunther walked in and was just like, you You don't want to win, son. I'll absolutely kill you. And yeah, he probably would. It was back to the World Cup matches after this, and I just love a good tournament. And here we had Braun Strowman representing the United States of America and Jinder Mahal representing India. And I was like, oh man, Jinder is back. I'm sure he'll have a good showing. He got beaten in 2 minutes. Poor Mahal too, because he had to cut a promo beforehand saying, I was such a good WWE champion and I'm going to win this, and no man can beat me. But of course the joke here was he wasn't fighting a man, he was fighting a monster. So Braun just came out and went, rah, and probably got mad at some flippy wrestlers when he hit the powerbomb and he won. I mean, it really was that quick. It is hard to be mad at it though, because again, we haven't seen Jinder in months, and Braun Strowman, despite getting mad on the internet, is on a tear right now. This did the job, it was what it was. Braun goes through to the next round, giving it up. He then pretended that the Hit Row Phantasma feud was going to continue, but it did not. Because just as we were about to get Zelina Vega versus B-Fab, the lights went all funny, the Viking Raiders music played, and back was Eric, and back was Ivar, and back was Sarah Logan. If you're now saying, Simon, you said that very nonchalantly, yeah. In all the videos, they're a woman's voice. It was clearly Sarah Logan's voice, so it'd been weirder if she hadn't turned up. They absolutely wrecked everybody here and left them for dead, which I presume means we're gonna get some three-way matches both between the men and the women. Once again, all this was fine. It didn't really make me go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it, and it kind of was just there. And I probably won't think about it again until next week. But was it bad? Absolutely not. We shall wait and see. Which brought us to our main event segment, and even though we did that whole we had an announcement that we're never going to tell you, like Vince McMahon's lockbox, actually, when you look into a little bit deeper, I think something incredible is brewing. Because after the Bloodline had come to the ring and Roman Reigns had told us to acknowledge him, and Paul Heyman had gone, listen, I hate every single one of you and don't boo me because you're not being Usi, the head of the table turned to the Usos, and it was quite clear he was going to say something very lovey-dovey. Because he was all like, man, it's hard being my cousin because I'm such a star, and man, who could ever live up to me? However, Jimmy, however, Jay, and what I think was going to happen here is that Roman Reigns was going to acknowledge them. And then out came the damn Brawling Brutes. And I was like, listen, I love you, Double B, but this is not the time. Their whole point, though, was that they are sick of the numbers game, so they have balanced the books a bit, which means Sheamus was returning. This guy, he's so over now, he got a mega pop. He also tried to cut a promo, but his mic didn't work, and that was quite funny, because Reigns was like, what are you going to do, you idiot? You can't even use the microphone. But they did get into a massive fight when, of all people, out came Drew McIntyre to make this 4-on-4, and it is quite clear what is happening here. This is going to be our War Games match. It's going to be the Brawling Brutes versus the Bloodline with Drew McIntyre on the good side. Sami Zayn will join in with Roman Reigns' crew, which means there's a fifth slot on the other side. And who is that going to be for? You already know. The returning Kevin Owens. Now, we don't know this. I've just made it up and I've gone fantasy booking crazy. But if that does happen, warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. So this was really good when you did get into the nitty-gritty, and it got me so damn excited, and I tell you, the Road to Survivor Series is on the way. That wasn't correct sentence structure at all, but I'm already excited about it. Which did indeed bring us to the end of SmackDown. This felt very much like an episode where we're planting seeds, gotta go to those trees. So I am gonna give it an up, and once again, let's just do this at War Games. The Bloodline taking on the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. I mean, that could be a match for the ages. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head on to WhatCulture.com where you can read yourself some articles. Stay here on YouTube and go and watch Ups and Downs of Rampage because it is a crazy Saturday day. And if you want to come say hello on social media, at WhatCulture WWE, and that's Simon Miller 316. My name is Simon Miller, the crappy superhero, so now I have to go, get a cat out of a tree or something. Because I'm not going to do any, real hero stuff, am I? I mean, if you saw me coming up in the street, you'd be like, listen, pal, I'd rather be mugged. I take your point. See you soon.